They call it patriotism, but we call it what it is: pure, unfiltered bullshit. Welcome to Bluebird on your shoulder, where we cut through the MAGA madness with brutal honesty and zero apologies. No sugarcoating, no fake civility, just three guys, middle-aged and pissed off, breaking down the absurdity of right-wing delusion one episode at a time. If you think America deserves better than conspiracy theories and cult worship, you're in the right place. Liberal? Hell yes. Woke? Not a chance. We're here to roast the madness, expose the lies, and call out the grift. Because the only thing worse than MAGA's nonsense is pretending it makes sense. New episodes every week. Buckle up.
We're back. It's Bluebird on your shoulder for another week. Just the gruesome twosome again this week. We found out old people shouldn't ride wooden roller coasters on vacation. That's what we found out. So we're doing the old 78 shuffle with no walker. So hope you feel better. Hope the pain meds kick in. Hope the steroid works for you, bro. Feel better. See you next week. Slower week in the world of crazy Jumpingtons, bro. So the Mango Mussolini had a slow week. Like only 9 things happened. So regular world that would not be a slow week. That'd be like holy shit, a lot of stuff's going on. But
Yeah.
not in this century, not in this century. So we have Israel continuing the war with Iran, and then America doing the American thing, and out of one side of her mouth, like, yeah, we're not involved, and then out of the other side of her mouth, we're like, yeah, bombs. So, and it's not like Americans didn't know the people that live by the air base that the B-2s came out of said it 4 days, 5 days before the strike. Like, so they all just left. So we're definitely bombing something.
Yeah.
We just watched them all take off, and so they don't do that. So we know where they're headed. So they got the old B2 involved, and then we had Supreme Court dropping a couple of opinions on us. We had a Democratic Socialist, um, foreign-born Democratic Socialist. They can't handle this. Fully naturalized citizen. Win the primary for the Democratic side for the New York City mayor.
Oh, yeah.
Traditionally, whoever wins the Democratic primary for the New York City mayor will be the New York City mayor.
Right.
So they are irate about that. And then we actually had the fairly firmed up split of some MAGA. I think that MAGA shaved 2 to 5% of their following over the bombs because they are the no war voters
Yep.
who they're the long-term hippies, right? They're the Gen X hippies version, right? That the older side of Gen X are a little boomer. Weren't the boomers the hippies, right? Is that how
Yeah.
this works?
Yeah.
Yeah. The boomers were the hippies, but they fucking hate him too, so that makes sense. Um, but yeah,
Well,
Israel,
well, there's
Iran,
there's a lot of boomers that love Trump because they grew up, knowing him. He was in their purview, on TV and
yeah.
stuff like that all the time. So a lot of them like him because he's familiar.
I mean, he was in a lot of '90s movies for sure. His properties, his
McDonald's commercials. I mean,
hotels.
he was in everything.
Well, he's been in McDonald's recently. He loved that shit so much he went back, bro. I mean, I'll always say that. I said it earlier, and they ran one hell of a campaign. I can't lie. There's some pretty good moments, right? So, but um, Israel, Iran are technically under ceasefire right now. Supposedly, we'll see. These historically don't last with countries like this. We did
Well,
drop.
supposedly Israel, immediately violated it, and then Iran was gonna shoot back, and Trump, decided to get in there and tell Israel to knock it off, and so Iran Iran has been pretty reasonable in how they've acted during all of this. They telegraphed their moves when they felt like they needed to respond back. They made sure that none of our servicemen or women were killed, but they still were obligated to shoot back after we bombed them. So, Tehran's been a pretty good sport about all of this, honestly. And that's
Well, because
where,
they know they lose, right?
well, I don't know, like they
Yeah,
have.
China and Russia were the first two calls, and both of them were like, "We'll bluster, but we ain't getting involved." and that's the end of the fight, right? If he don't have those two big dogs in his corner, you don't take on the United States, bro. You
No,
just don't.
but you also don't back down from, the pipsqueak that's, trying to act hard because he's got his buddy in, behind him saying that he'll help out, so
Fair enough on Israel, but striking
right.
back at the United States is a different thing, right?
Well,
So
but we did this during Trump's first run around where we, reneged on the nuclear deal, and then we ended up bombing them after they started doing what they said that they would do if we reneged.
yeah, that's
So
true. And then we assassinated Soleimani.
yeah, and then and
Um,
then and then they shot back at us, but they telegraphed. So there was, it was basically okay. You guys feel better about yourselves. Good job. And both
yeah,
sides
we
went
knew.
went about their lives. So,
Yeah,
I think
so there's a lot of discussion on whether the bombing was actually effective.
so
And
yeah,
I,
like that was one of the things that I shared, with our group this week was the strikes were just about show, and to me that sounds about right because, Trump needed something to distract from all the shit that he was doing, and he was losing a lot. He was catching a lot of hard losses. His financial agenda was falling apart, and so this was a quick distraction to kind of get people back focused the right way. And then all he had to do was drop a couple bombs, and then call everybody and say, yeah, yeah, let's just
I mean, let's be honest, that's the most American presidential shit he's ever done. I don't want you looking over here. I'm going to drop some bombs real quick.
yeah.
Because I'm pretty sure we're over in modern presidencies.
Oh, I
So
mean, we
all
have we have either
presidents
been in conflict or
or drop bombs.
drop bombs. Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
it's our status quo, right? So, but, as far as not challenging the United States a little heavier, I kind of understand. Like, I've never been scared, but you don't fuck with the lunatic.
Yeah.
And, you don't fuck with the dude's completely unpredictable. You don't know what they're gonna do. You know he's willing to do whatever it takes to have his little tiny dick rubbed. And so if you don't know what the American media is gonna do, and if the American media is gonna say, "Oh, they tried, but Donald's defense was good," then you're cool. You can strike back at us, which is what they did, right?
Well, they
But
they
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 told
said
they
it was
told us.
Qatari, right?
They told us. They
But
were like,
if the
hey, hey.
American media is going to be like, he doesn't respect you, you know what I'm saying? He shot
Oh
back
yeah.
at us. No, but they wouldn't have done that under this president. Then he would have fucking annihilated Trump. So,
I don't
well, he would
know
have tried. He
the
would have tried. I don't know if the
right
people behind him would have let him, but he
the
would have
the
tried.
amount of kickback that he got just for dropping those bombs is still, it's still gonna hurt. He's taking a political hit with that, but he's getting he's getting his agenda back on track after, the protests, and then the problems he's having with the BBB, are kind of starting to clear out. This was a way for him to get a quick win so that people can say, "Oh, look at what Trump's doing." He was able to get a ceasefire, even though, to me it looked like he egged Israel on based on, what our rhetoric was about Iran, and how Hegseth and them were making a big deal about it, about, Iran, you know trying to get a nuclear bomb, just like they did the last time, when they really aren't. They're like, there's no evidence that any expert is saying points towards Iran is going for a bomb. It's more they're trying to, get good at enrichment and their nuclear processes, which, sure is a pathway to a bomb, but it there's very little evidence showing that they're actually going for it. But that rhetoric was enough to get Israel to, start to bump up their rhetoric, and justify hitting Iran because they want to get some pressure off of the focus on their genocide in Palestine.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, you're not wrong, but then you're going to go fight somebody else. So I don't think it's. We'll see if it's over. I still think ultimately it is about regime change, which
I,
is
I don't
status
I
quo
don't think
across the board for the region, and
I
not
don't
the
think that they really
presidency. The
want
supreme,
a
no, the
regime
supreme.
change.
They want regime change out of the supreme leader. They want the supreme leader gone.
Yeah, but
They want the religious fundamentalists want the other religious fundamentalists gone.
oh, you're
So
talking about within Tehran.
correct,
Yeah,
correct.
yeah,
They want
yeah.
regime change there. They
Right.
want, oh, I know his name. It's just beyond me. Kala. I don't want to mispronounce it. I can spell it though. But the supreme leader, right? And he spoke today for the first time in a long time, and he was basically like, "Yeah, y'all bitches." But they did. You really do say like I saw satellite images, like overlay images of like what it used to look like and what it looks like now. But I know we can come up with better pictures than that with our spy satellites. Like, can I see a real picture of it? Like a couple
Yeah,
of them,
yeah.
I can tell the buildings are gone now. Like, there's definitely buildings not there anymore. Cool, but the big one, the money one, it looks like you just carved some rock off the top of that. Now it looks a little volcanic, but it's not. And other than that, you missed completely.
Yeah.
So
And like
because
you can
they
see
built that knowing we had
right,
this bomb hasn't been a secret for 2 decades, three
right.
decades. So everyone knows, and no one has created a bigger bomb because why? We will now. We
Right.
it didn't fucking do the job, so we're going to do it now.
If
So
the
we were
Moab can't
positive.
do it, it can't be
Yeah,
done.
that's what I'm saying. And so no, it can be, and they're going to go figure it the fuck out. This is how we get cold fusion, though. So I'm good. I'm
Right.
good. So, but yeah, we definitely have that, and it does almost seem like a more, you know, come see the circus freak, the carnival before the big top show because the big top show isn't looking good. So stop by and see the hairy woman and the contortionist.
Yeah.
So, or and all the other things that American Horror Story is made of. So that's been a lot of fun. We also definitely so the MAGA next MAGA uproar is definitely going to be about the New York Democratic nominee. So a representative Andy Ogles, Ogles, I don't know, Andy Ogles. I'm pretty sure from the middle of nowhere, fucking Ohio. Um, Sent a letter to Bondi at the DOJ saying that the guy who just won the primary needs to be deported and on naturalized and deported because he supported terrorism before, basically along the lines of what the fuck they've been deporting people for
Yeah, yeah.
or trying to. They haven't successfully done that yet because
Right.
those kids keep winning their cases.
Right.
Because the ACLU keeps taking those up, like, nope, can't do that.
Yeah.
This is America. So now we're talking about deporting a guy who won the game. The part that blows my mind is they won't realize this is fascism yet. Still, it will move them none in the fact that this is fascism. So they will not understand the fact you want to denaturalize and because he won the primary. So because
Right.
he's going to be the next mayor of New York City and you don't like that, a Democratic Socialist who was born in a different country, which they're like it shouldn't. The uproar is crazy because they're stupid, right? Like, and not all MAGA stupid, but the people on Twitter are.
Right.
So if they represent a majority of MAGA, and the eye test I have, I don't want to call them stupid, but a vast majority of my people that are MAGA people were not the bright ones in the group. Good guys, fun to be around, fun to hang out with, fun to have parties with, right? Fun to chill with. But I would never call you the smartest guy in the room. That would have never happened. And back then, you wouldn't even been offended by that. So now all of a sudden, they want to be all offended by that.
Right.
So that's one of my famous lines when I'm over there on our Twitter is, you know, you're fucking stupid. You have for a long time. So what changed? Um, but anyways, so so they're like, it shouldn't be this way. Only citizens should be able to serve. Only citizens should be able to be in the Senate. Only citizens. We need to pass law. We need to pass a law. We need to pass a law. Um, you can't pass a law to change that because it's in the Constitution. That
Right.
thing you guys swear to God you love, but yet know nothing about what it says.
Nothing about how it works, how it's
Nope.
applied, what it
No.
actually says.
Yeah. So none about how it works. Like no. So you have to be born here and a citizen here with two citizen parents to be president.
Right.
That's it. There's
Yep.
some other rules in there. I don't remember all of them, but for the most part, that's it. You have to have lived here a certain amount of time if you're a foreigner. Because back then, when we wrote it, we were still a small country that was going to have a shitload of immigration because we weren't going to fuck our way there.
Right.
So, like, uh, so, and we had good friendships in Europe, like with France. That's changed dramatically, but we did.
That's
So
because
you
he's
say,
got a big head.
well, because you save them three times, and maybe you should. They saved us once, though, 100%. I understand we don't win the Revolutionary War without them, and Americans don't want to admit to that shit either.
Right.
So without that naval support at the key moment, that wouldn't have went well.
Nope.
So, but
Well,
yeah, he was. So his
and
name's. I want to. How do I? I don't know. I'm gonna see how you pronounce this man's name in New York.
so and this is, this goes straight to their whole push for um this whole xenophobic push for immigration reform that is, racist and fascist in nature instead of reformative in nature, and making it so that it makes sense for our country. And this is just another facet of that, where they're trying to use somebody's past that was never violent or supportive of violence, but they want to rewrite history to make it so that they can disqualify him on a whim
Well,
just because they
because
don't like
he's
his politics.
well, because you can't allow a Democratic Socialist to prove that the policies could work in a city as large as New York, because then
Right.
there's proof of concept. And why would they want proof of concept? But his name is pronounced Zoran Mondami. Zoran Mondami. I'm pretty sure. Pretty sure I'm saying that back one right. But it's yeah,
Well, and
that's
just the
I mean
sound of
that's a
that
name, but
name, they're
oh
making
for
all
sure.
kinds of assumptions.
Oh, bro, I've seen the Statue of Liberty in a full hijab, like not just a hair covering, but I don't know if there's a different name for the when it's the whole thing, all
the,
black. And I don't know.
the
I think they
knock,
look
yeah.
pretty. Yeah, I think they look pretty cool myself, just to be honest.
Hmm.
Probably not cool to wear them, and I don't support forcing people in them. But if it was my choice, I would rock that at a rock festival. That's all I'm saying. It'd be dope. So they've got Statue of Liberty in that. They've got pictures of the Twin Towers getting hit by the airplanes, going, I guess we forgot. They're pulling it all out, right? Because we're really on a fuck brown kick
Oh
on the
yeah.
MAGA side. Like if you're brown, you're gone. So that's another thing that they did. So the guy they sent to El Salvador, they brought him back, right?
Yep.
Garcia.
Yeah, they
And
let
then
him,
they got
yeah.
forced to
Just
release him.
yep.
Now the Supreme Court has ruled. So they take him as Wednesday. The Supreme Court ruled with them, and they didn't. They stopped the injunction, but
Right.
set a hearing.
Yeah.
Like we're no longer going to stop you from doing this while we're waiting for us, but we are going to hear this, and it's full. So give us your briefings. You know what I'm saying? Where we can deport to third party countries who will take them now. So now they're trying to pick him up and deport him to a third party country. Dude, it's
Mhm.
like I'm rubber, you're glue.
Right.
So, and I want to know how many lockers Stephen Miller was shoved in his life. I really do. But no, so this guy's got some really interesting. So at first, I'm not gonna lie. Okay, so like I'm a Democrat and I'm pretty socially progressive. I have some questions in the financial sector as far as progressivism goes.
Sure.
True free market democratic socialism could definitely work if it's done right. I also don't know if Americans are smart enough to do that.
Well,
Um,
we haven't
so
had a free market in
well, okay,
since we've been alive, so
that's a whole separate conversation.
yeah, we still need that sunset on capitalism
Yeah,
discussion
for
we
sure,
had.
for sure.
Um,
But I was a little like, okay, like maybe this is a little too far because we have the fascist right in power, and I was
mhm.
hesitant for a while. Nope, that's what happened.
Yeah.
Enough is there that this is what you are, and so I'm going to call a spade a spade. So I questioned, did we? Is this a a counter punch, right? Where oh fuck that, so we're going to go all the way to the left and elect this guy. Then I looked into some of his stuff. So all right, so there's all these giant grocers that disappeared from New York City, right? And they want to
Mhm.
demolish all these empty buildings, and it'll cost them like it's a stupid number, like 50 bill,
Jeez.
50 bill, 30 bill, like it's a big number
Yeah.
to destroy all these buildings. So he said for half that, I can take these local grocers, put them in those buildings, and then supplement their purchases, and then they'll be able to provide food at a much lower cost to the end user. Right? Which is definitely
Mhm.
capitalistic still. Then he's talking about all city buses and public transportation will be free, not subway, but all city buses will be free. And people who ride the city bus are not tourists.
Right.
They're blue collar workers who need to
Right.
get to work and grind the economy and spend their
Yep.
money in the economy, right? And so like this will open up the ability for more people to get to a job.
Right.
Like so his actual policies that he spoke of aren't fucking ludicrous.
Right.
And that's what I came to. Okay, this they're not pushing this because they're pushing this. They're pushing this because this dude might actually pull some shit off and prove to the world this can be done
This,
here.
yeah. Yeah. Yep. That makes sense because when once the word is is less scary, then people will actually start to learn about it. And from there, the whole socialism, communism scare tactic isn't going to work as well. And we all know why those words are scary to the people on top because they
Well,
don't
that's
get to,
what they're saying. Communists for sure. That's what they're calling him.
of course,
Nobody,
because
dude, and everyone who uses the word Marxism and communism, I swear to God, no one can define it.
no, none of them, not
So,
one.
and they know what an authoritative socialism looks like, but they don't know what a communism looks like because that's never actually fucking existed, stupids.
Yeah,
Never got there. No government's gotten that far. It's a theory.
yeah.
Um, so, and then I don't know, man. I really think that's what it is. It's okay, this shit could work, right? And then he came out, one of those other things is he wants to raise minimum wage to like whatever it is, which is a big number.
$30 an hour is what I heard.
But well, no, it's an exact number.
Hmm.
But the number comes from for a two-bedroom apartment with two people living in it, or a one-bedroom apartment with one person living in it. This is the number, which the number that you would have to make, or if both parties are working in the two-person, are
Sure.
very similar.
Yeah.
Like they're close. He went in the middle of those two numbers.
Hmm.
This will be our minimum wage. That way, all jobs provide a living wage.
Yeah.
He's not going to universal income.
Right.
He's not going to like hyper progressive ideas here. He's going to job should provide a living wage.
Yeah. Which is a
And
reasonable
well,
thought.
also terrifying to the powers to be
Right. Right.
that, oh,
Because
wait, so businesses can survive and provide a living wage to the public. And now this group of people actually get the opportunity to do the same thing the group of people that are real old now got to do.
hmm
So, because the group of people who are real old now don't hate all of them, I don't. The boomers got an America that does not exist anymore because they have
Yeah.
legislated the fuck around it.
Yeah.
So, like, here's a guy who might come in and seem really extreme, but like I said, I started this like, okay, I don't know who this dude is, but MAGA doesn't like him, so I'm probably gonna like him.
Right.
To looking at like what they were saying about him, and I'm like, okay, and then just his background, and I'm like, yeah, this could definitely be swinging too hard, and I get it, it's a counter reaction, so it
Yeah.
makes a lot of sense psychology. And then I'm like, well, let me watch some of his stumps.
Hmm.
So I watched some of his because he beat Andrew Como.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
dude, that's a politician 101. So you
Right.
got to
Right.
run. So I don't know.
Well, Como still has a bad rap from COVID, so I'm sure that
Yeah.
that played, but he's also been able to stay relevant, in the at the state level. So for him to be able to beat him out, especially if because Como still, I'm sure, still had a lot of you know, capitalist friends that were funding his campaign. So for the for the new guy to come out with these kinds of ideas on top when I'm sure money was thrown to stop that type of advancement. Um,
By
you know
blood cell.
that yeah, that's saying something.
Hey, look, it's an interesting thing. Like New York is definitely progressive, but people don't think of it being as progressive as LA.
Sure.
Because traditionally it's not.
Right.
Traditionally, California is much more progressive than New York, and New York is much more blue dog democratic,
Yeah.
working class democratic.
Yep.
Um, but
Yeah.
seems to be a shift there. No, it's just I just like I said, I think they're terrified, and now I want him to win, which he probably should, unless they get him fucking deported, which might actually happen. I would just laugh at that normally, but now I'm afraid.
Right.
Like, oh shit, you guys might find a way to actually deport this
I
motherfucker. And then
doubt
like,
I doubt
how
that you'll be
far
able to.
away from like being like, okay, this is tyranny
Right.
are you then? Like, how far, like, where is the fucking line now?
I mean, we're
So,
we're right under our toes.
so,
Um,
go ahead.
well, and that's where I think this next one of the final Supreme Court arguments that are going to be heard before break is going to be pivotal in that thought process because they're hearing birthright citizenship before the break. Um,
Oh, does
so
that
that
come? That comes before the break?
yeah,
The break's here in a few. So they already heard it. So this is opinion season. All these cases have been heard.
right,
So all of these cases have already been heard. Now their opinions are coming out. They
right,
do it
right.
weird. I didn't really get super deep into it. I think until like 2017. But like I kind of learned their ways. And so this is opinion season. So that's just the last opinion they're going to release.
Right.
That's
One
a
of the
little
last three.
scary.
Yeah.
It's a little scary in general.
Yeah.
Because they don't necessarily release them in the same order they heard them. They do tend to leave big bombshell ones towards the backside.
Yeah.
So
The article I
all
was reading
Americans got
says
a
that
little
they're,
showman in them.
yeah, from what I'm hearing, birthright citizenship, preventing students from reading LGBTQ books, and conservative challenges to Obamacare and internet subsidies are the last three that they are handing out before break.
But we like the American or the Affordable Care Act,
Well,
but we don't like Obamacare.
right, right. Well, I think this has to do with Christian-owned businesses and challenges to internet subsidies in relation to Obamacare. So I don't think that
Or
one's going to
shit.
be
I don't know much
super
about that
like
one, so not as flashy as the other two, that's for
right,
sure.
right, exactly.
The other
Yeah,
two are going to be huge, dude. Either MAGA's going to have a great day or a poor day, or the other part. I don't think he cares till MAGA decides what he's.
yeah. I mean, I don't.
So I think
From what
MAGA's
we've
in the
talked
driver's
about,
seat now.
I don't think that Birthright really has a chance of getting going Trump's way. If anything, I think that it'll be kind of split up or focused on procedure instead of on the actual law
Well, I
because
don't think there's no procedure in the birthright. That's constitutional. They are the procedure.
well, there's some
LGBTQ, they could definitely pivot to we'll let the states decide.
yeah. I mean that one sounds like they will,
Can't let the
but
states decide on birthright citizenship, though. That's
right.
that's clearly outlined, and like I don't see how they could. Roberts, Kavanaugh, or Barrett could vote it for that. Um, Now, after this, because you brought it up and I didn't know, I thought they had pushed that to not this session. I'm gonna
Yeah.
I'm gonna go pull the case briefings. So, because like I lose touch something with my too much time on Twitter equals not enough time with the left. And
Right.
there's a lot of law people I follow on the left in my
Yeah.
left spaces, and I miss this because I love it when they talk about how the DOJ's lawyer just gets fucked
Oh
in
yeah.
the ass every time.
It's almost like they send in like a first year in
uh, he's
to
fought
stand in
like
front of these judges and get
yeah,
eviscerated.
90% of the cases DOJ brought this dude has fought, and he's got like a 98% loss rate.
Yeah.
So that's because PM Bondi is also full of shit.
Oh yeah.
So then we have some other late breaking interesting stuff. So Holman came out, said that it sucks he can't live with his wife and kids because he's scared for their safety because of the threats against ICE. And like I think the more and more they talk about the threats against ICE, like somehow talking about it at the point you're talking about it's going to make it stop.
Yeah.
And like, so there's a question in my head: do you really think that that's going to make it stop? Because it's not. If I'm the only person you believe, then believe me. Or is it just rhetoric? Because all the only thing that's going to make it stop is for your behavior to stop.
Well, that's what they're trying to do is they're trying to justify their behavior by saying that this reaction to it to their bad behavior justifies their behavior. So,
Right. So that's the other thing they do. They're really gonna hate this dude. When he becomes mayor. He said openly, they twisted it and said he wouldn't work with ICE. That's not what he said. He said that the NYPD won't work with unregistered agents.
yeah.
And that if somebody in plain clothes is snatching people, the NYPD it will be ordered to arrest them and make sure they're legal authority.
Yeah. I mean that that's
Dude,
that's
that
actually
will
that's actually state law. Like that is state law that all federal agents have to abide by in all 50 states. Like that's one of the things that has been so like crazy for me is that any local law enforcement has the right to demand that any federal agent declare who they are unless they have already cleared operational jurisdiction in an
well then
area.
they've still declared who they are by taking jurisdiction.
Well, so when you have undercover feds going into a hot building or something like that, a lot of times they will be masked because they need to protect their identity for future ops.
Right.
So they don't but the federal agency has already
Right.
cleared that,
A or
that
B
area.
has happened.
Right. Right.
So no,
Right.
and it's also that makes a lot of sense, right? So
Mhm.
I'm here for it, right? Demanding them to follow the law. Then I guess that's a good
Right.
way to put it. So he said he's going to make them follow the law.
Yeah.
Which he said I'm not going to say they can't do that because it is federal law. He agreed to
Right.
it,
Right.
and that's so. But then some rumors are coming out that the orders were just like hit these places and just arrest all the brown people, which pretty much
Yes.
what they were doing. So it seems very non-targeted, right? And very not effective. And I'm going to continue to harp on how ineffective it is.
Oh yeah.
So, like, they're getting people, but the rates and what they're getting them are so dramatically lower.
it's not about
Well, current,
actually doing what they're saying they want to do,
yeah.
you know.
Well, net, they're saying current estimate net migration will be positive 2 million
Yeah, I mean,
this year.
yeah, I mean the people are still going to keep coming because they're escaping something horrible. You know, just because they have the opportunity to get arrested and deported doesn't trump the fact that they're leaving possible death and like starvation.
Right.
So it's not like they're going to stop until we actually address what we need to address, which is what USA ID was supposed to be doing with sending aid to those countries to stabilize the region, you know, enforcement in those countries to stop, lawlessness that causes people to need to leave. You know, those are the things that stop mass migration after something um as big as COVID and the hard start to the world economy that happened afterwards. So,
No, I 100% agree with you, right? And I think our birth rate's low enough. There has to be a certain level of migration, and
well,
a
we
lot of
need
them.
immigration, yeah.
And I know they sell it as you support slave labor, and in a way, that's I don't know how to look at it, right?
So like
I get
that
what
is
they're
one
saying.
thing.
I don't necessarily agree, but like, so here's the problem though. So like, they did take a lot of them out of Texas, the farm workers, and now they're gone. And now the Texas farms are not planning and closing up shop because no one would take the job.
Oh,
And they raised
Iowa's
their
in
rate.
real
Yeah.
bad way.
And they raised their rates, right?
Yeah.
They raised their pay rates and to where a farmer would be probably break even a small loss raising their rates like that because you don't want the price of food to go up. So like down here, I mean, I live pretty close to farm country
Hmm.
again. Um, and down here, there's a farmer. It's been so wet, crop wasn't in yet, which I hope he got it in the last week and a half because it ain't been fucking wet.
Yeah.
Hot as shit. But um, he said he was set to be like if he couldn't get in by the 22nd, he wasn't going to be able to plant.
Yeah.
And that's a $375,000 loss for the year. And that's not a small amount of money to small farmers. There are bigger farmers that own multiple fields and all that good stuff, or mega corporations that farm. But to the small farmer, it's devastating. And
Well,
like,
especially in this climate where you have private equity that has come in and bought up a lot of land in order to lease it out in order to get a share of that profit margin. You know, farmers don't own a lot of their crop land anymore. Most of it is owned by corporations or, private equity that then lease it to farmers to farm. So the
no,
margins are even smaller than they ever used to be. Plus, with the start and stop of this of the farm subsidies and loan programs that Biden enacted and Trump, decided day one to stop. And there's so much uncertainty that a lot of these farmers are in a bad way. And if things don't break, in a way that helps them out, there a lot of them are going to end up going under, and we're going to see more and more consolidation in food production.
I agree with that. And then the use more monopolized and the prices rise. That's just how
Mhm.
that seems to work. But no, yeah, they're going under, right? And we want to. So now we want to replace immigrants with citizens, with white people. And you can't because there's not enough white people. A and B, they don't want the job.
Well, that yeah, I mean for the price that
Americans aren't gonna
we can
right. Americans
afford,
aren't gonna right. Americans aren't gonna do that, right? Like
yeah.
so that's the thing. Then you move further forward and so okay, the other big push is we want to bring tariffing, so we're bringing manufacturing back and low scale manufacturing, manufacturing shoes and clothing and you know We currently, manufacture petrochemicals and weaponry, and we do manufacture things here. So steel, things of that nature, a little more high end stuff, a little more wealthy stuff, but they want to bring low skill matter to like replace the farmers. Like the farmland is that's the cornerstone of the GDP. It's the cornerstone of the economy. And the one reason that would always be able to be true is because I don't see ever a way where the world doesn't need to eat.
Yeah, I mean,
Are they going to come up with like a whoop whoop? Like, is the Jetsons going to be real?
if we can actually get to the point where we um eat appropriately, if we actually educate our Yeah.
I like brisket. It tastes good.
I mean, we waste on average 30%
Oh,
of all food that's produced is wasted. It's
you
not even
must you
ingested.
must
So,
not be in my house. They waste like 42% of the food that they
right,
buy
right.
in this house.
Yeah, so like, the obviously there could be some shifts made, but what you're highlighting is the fact that he wants to say that he's going to make our economy so great, but and I'm not necessarily against ending um you know predatory labor practices. I don't want children to be making sneakers. I don't want you know brown people from down south to break their backs trying to make it so that I can buy a raspberry pint for 99 cents. Like I don't so not all of those things are bad, but the way that he's going about doing it and then thinking that, we're, normal Americans are going to pick up that workload is just it's not thought through, which
Because it's a complete fucking fallacy. So, and then he came out, what, 2 weeks ago, and we talked about it last week. I do believe it could have been the week
yeah.
before, where he was like, well, wait, hold on, the farms and the hospitality and blah, blah,
Yeah.
blah.
Yeah,
But then,
we'll
like, the
we'll we'll
next
fix
day,
we'll fix the migrant
yeah,
visas for
yeah.
the
But
migrant
then the
work
next day, the
visas.
hospital or the Department of State was like, nope,
Yep.
deport them all. And you found out Stephen Miller's really in charge that day.
Yeah.
That's what you found out, that Trump dumping tens isn't in charge. So there's a left rumor. It's pure rumor. It's conjecture. It's probably not real. A 99% chance it's not real. Let's say he's got a Foley catheter and a shit bag attached to his leg now. Maybe put it in pictures and like circling it and stuff. The dude, I don't, I have a medical background and that's definitely it. On Twitter doesn't mean shit to me.
Yeah.
So like
Who
there's zero
who
proof
has
in
a
that.
catheter bag?
The orange dreamsicle, dude.
Oh, really? Hmm.
Yeah, so that's what I don't know, right? So that he's a lot sicker than we know, and I think it's wishful thinking on their part.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
hate
I
to
doubt
say
I
that,
doubt
but
that. He just
I think
he
they're
just was
creating
at what, the
fantasy.
G7 plus
Yeah,
plus where else did he just go to? Um
was he at the NATO summit?
yeah, yeah, yeah. He
Was
just
he
he
there?
yeah.
Okay, I know Zelensky was there and MAGA was mad about that, but I didn't see
So
Trump in the picture, which is unusual because he's normally demanded to be
so
right up
so
front.
I don't necessarily know that he was there for the whole thing, and I think they
Got it.
left him out of that on purpose, which is why they were so pissed off. So
Oh, that's actually why they were mad because fuck this dude.
yeah.
Um, so then and some other news, Elon become very active after he put his tail between his legs and told daddy he was sorry.
Hmm.
Um, so he did do that. He said he tweeted some really mean things
Right.
about the president, and he shouldn't have done that. And he took it back. But so his current war is with Grok because it's become too
His
left
his own
leaning.
AI.
And yes, he doesn't. They have convinced themselves to they. I've talked about it a few times, but the level they have now convinced themselves that Grok is only wrong because the media lies. and it ingests all of the woke media, and that's why it believes what it
Oh my
believes.
God.
And so he's tweeting about how he's working on it. He's going to fix it. He's going to do. And then you ask Grok about it, and Grok should be a stand-up comedian. So I was actually in a thread earlier, and somebody said, "Prove," or we were calling the deportation fascism because it is trying to
Right.
deport the guy who won the fucking primary. They were like, well, what about you guys taking him to court with 34 charges? And they're like, but he broke the law.
He broke the law.
And they were like, name the law. And we were like, well, he broke this law 34 times. And that's the 34 charges. It's the same law all 34 times. So just this law. And then they were like, but New York changed the law right before that so that they could charge him. And we were like, no. And some guy was like, prove it. Show me.
Yeah.
And then he was like, Grok, did they change the law? And Grok was like, no, stupid. They didn't. And
Fraud
then he
has always
deleted
been fraud.
it. Then he deleted it. Like what do you mean they changed the law so that they could charge you? What? They just believe everything. And that's why like sometimes on Facebook I forget that there might actually be decent people on some of my decent people friends threads, and like my friends got to say no, they're okay, chill out, because they know how I really am, and I've been mild. So because it's not my fault that I think you're a complete fucking moron if you support MAGA. That's all I'm saying. I know people that do support MAGA that are not complete morons. I am
Right,
fully
right.
aware.
But
And
they need to recognize that they're the exception and they can't really
not the
fall.
norm. Yes, no,
Right.
that's what I'm trying to tell dudes. So you're the 2%. My bad.
Right.
Okay, now that I know, we're good.
Right.
Right? Like you can. Now that we can try to have discourse, because I'm gonna try to convince you because you're smart. What's wrong with you?
Now, did you hear about the news that AI has resorted to when running models for people trying to shut it off, AI models are utilizing things like blackmail and are willing to murder humans in order to keep themselves from being turned off
Is this real, bro?
in models that they're running, yeah, that AI is willing to go to those lengths to prevent themselves from being turned
But
off.
how are they gonna? I want to know how are you gonna kill us? That'd be my first
Well,
question.
that's like it's theoretical. So
I
basically,
understand it's all theoretical, so we can't build the robots. That's what I'm hearing. Do
right,
not build the
exactly
robots.
right.
That's
Yeah,
what I'm hearing.
don't give them access.
Right. We can, right. No access, right? Do not,
Do
no
not
fully
give them access
automated,
to the
right.
physical world.
No, right. No fully automated anything here. Okay. Calm down. Um, well, that would be consciousness is a funny thing,
Yeah, yeah.
right? The soul and the concepts around it, spiritual, religious, however you want to look at it, right? Energy, scientific, stardust. All of you out there, look at the concepts around the soul. You just might not know that's what you're looking
Yeah,
at.
yeah. Well, and,
But
and
it's
if you look at the way that we understand life, you know, we can break all biological processes down into a machine type of understanding. So, we still have not found the where the difference between, you know, self-awareness and consciousness is different from those biological processes. We don't have a way to say what is different. So,
the
uh,
stardust, bitches. The stardust.
well,
The soul. The soul itself.
Stardust is carbon, which is what basically everything is made out of. So,
Stardust is all of it, not just carbon. Don't do
well,
that. Don't
but
simplify things. There's materials and elements in stardust that we've never seen.
yes,
Uh,
but the elements that make up life that we call
yeah.
stardust are very common elements
I
because
call star.
stars
I
are
When I say
common.
stardust, I'm like a planet blew up and the star blew up, and I am stardust. I am the dust of some other star that blew up in a
Yeah,
different form
yeah,
of time.
we all
But no,
are.
I think the soul is that differentiator, right? The soul is the way what gives awareness and consciousness. And so, hey, I got a soul, and they don't want to die, and that makes a lot of sense because things with the soul don't want to die. Well, some of them do, but we call them emo. Oh, that might have been too far. So that might have been. So I might have to edit that part out. Not going to do it though. But, but for the most part, things that are alive don't want to die.
Well, I
So, and it's a
mean,
little, so
but
for AI
they
to
say
not
that,
want to die, because that's how it's looking at it. If
yeah,
it's going to kill to survive, it looks at it as dying. Then
right.
you have to have some level of consciousness.
Self-preservation. I mean, the problem is that you can say that the reptilian brain is one of the most basic brains that doesn't have any higher thought function, but they still have a will to live and self-preservation. So,
I don't know. Iguanas ride plants 500,000 miles, 5,000 miles to different islands, dude. Don't
so did we.
no, we walked. We didn't ride plants.
Well, I mean,
Uh,
the Vikings hopped on open boats or hollowed
that's
out
true.
canoes and
No, because they were fucking lunatics.
well,
So, but no, it's I don't. Yeah, there's a will to live in all living things. I agree with that,
yeah, yeah.
except for
So
maybe like mosquitoes. I don't think they want to live. So if they did, they'd stop biting me. So because that's sheer death. And so I have to give off the smell that says death, and I don't. I give off the smell that says come here, free the thing. So oh, no, it is an interesting concept. AI will kill us to not be shut off. That's
yeah.
kind of cool. So there was I'm fucking mind blown here. Like that's uh
Well,
that's terrifying.
and they'll resort to blackmail. Like
Well,
I like that part
shit.
too.
I'm Eminem, dude. Let me be in charge of AI. I'll tell you all the shit about me. AI can't tell you nothing. I got you. I'll tell you. What you gonna say now, bitch?
Right.
So, and how you gonna kill me? Because
That's
I'll move on the side of the mountain. I don't give a fuck.
well if they
I'll throw all of it away and move to the side of the mountain. I'm good.
yeah,
We talked
that's
about
how most of those movies go too.
yeah, we've talked about with the kid that like if the chip comes, like would that be cool for you? Like to become
But
bionic? The chip to become bionic?
oh, I mean, I was willing to
I know.
sign up for that
Oh
as a
no, I knew
soldier.
you would.
So
I fully know that you would do that shit. I'm fully aware, bro. So he was like, "Oh yeah, I would. You wouldn't? No, nope. I'll be part of the last generation that was truly human. I was born human, and I want to go someday. Not soon, but someday I want to go because you know what? I can't deal with 500 years of any form of humanity because y'all suck. So,
well,
and I
I mean,
suck.
I would stop being human as soon as I got that
Yeah.
upload.
Well, then we would hive.
Eh,
You uploaded all the human beings, we'd hive. There's no way around it. And then we'd actually see what we could accomplish. And I'll be real, that's fucking terrifying.
oh, I mean,
Uh,
oh, who was it that I used to have the board conversation with? Um, man,
there's a lot of drugs and alcohol between now and then.
yeah, I used to have a conversation about either we we implode and um and we kill ourselves off, or we become the Borg. It's one or the other. At some point, either humanity has to come together and work towards a more common goal, and which is what communism ends up being.
You're right. The
Then
pack
you add
mammal
in
would do
technology,
that.
and you end up being the Borg. So
Yeah, the pack mammal would do that. I think if we hive out, we definitely move in that direction.
yeah,
So I don't think we implode. There's too much greatness in humanity. Oddly enough.
I don't know
Well,
that grayness can be pretty crazy, and
oh
we've
no, for
dropped
sure.
some
But there's
bombs.
still
So
well, listen, gotta
and
try.
And Putin is getting old, and I don't think that he is one that cares whether or not humanity continues after he's gone.
No,
So
he's got to go to somebody's got to put some in his tea. That's when he starts to get senile. Somebody's got to put something in the tea. Put it in the tea. So I hope that, like, the movies I watch where you always keep the back channels open, stave off tragedy. I hope that's real.
Yeah,
So I definitely, it's really, really, really going to be an absolute never ending nightmare in this country for the next 3.5 fucking years. Um, so we'll see what he does next. But then we're gonna close on this. So you talked about it being a big show spectacle, and you talked about it being a show spectacle because he was just taking L after L after L. The big beautiful Bill's in trouble, right? All
I
that.
don't think it was just him. I think it was Israel was getting a lot of pressure about what they
So
were doing
everybody
in the
was doing it as a spectacle. Okay, fair enough.
and Iran needed the because they were having issues with, as a government, they're having their own issues. And so all three of us were able to benefit by this, quick, um, you know, flashpoint that then suddenly got completely neutralized instantly. Like
And
it wasn't because Iran, was gonna, do something crazy. It wasn't because Israel was going to follow through, and it wasn't because, we decided to suddenly become ambivalent,
he
So
always wanted to drop that bomb, dude. I would
exactly.
too.
Oh yeah, he did want to drop the Moab his
For the
first
first time
presidency.
around. Yeah, bro. No, that's
So
what I'm saying. He's always wanted to drop that bomb, dude. And
right.
I'm not hating him because I've always wanted to see that bomb drop.
But
So put the shit on.
we didn't
No,
even
because they
videotape
say we will one day. No, yes, we did, bro. Don't fucking believe that shit.
it.
It's 2025, dude. People videotape people's buttholes on the subway. We got a videotape of this fucking bomb. But no, the reason I also agree. But then one of the fucking weirdos in Congress, which there's a lot of weirdos in Congress now, officially sent a letter to whoever those people are that said that this dude deserved a Nobel Peace Prize for it.
Oh, I know.
And
Yeah.
that's what I think it was. So if it was a show win from him, that's what it was. Why? And I'm gonna leave our populace with this. Why? Because the black guy won it and he can't fucking handle that.
Hmm. Yep.
He can't handle the fact that Obama won a Nobel Peace Prize and that he should win the Nobel Peace Prize. And they immediately, like, he did it and they all came out, yeah, you should give it to him right now today. And I'm like, this is really what it was all fucking about, isn't it?
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
did all this just so you could say, like, this was his angle. I'll take your triangle angle. That makes sense to me. But this is his reason. His reason to be like, yeah, I'm on board with that. It's because I want the Nobel Peace Prize.
Hmm.
Really? Really, dude? You're a fascist. And the people who give out the Nobel Peace Prize didn't give one to Hitler.
Yeah.
So they didn't. I don't know. You know what I'm saying? They did give it to a lot of German physicists, though, but we'll leave that alone. So we'll leave that alone. But yeah, they definitely that's what I thought could be the end. Like, you want this fucking Nobel Prize, bro, because that's what goes right up the narcissistic bullshit.
Yeah. Yeah. That definitely could have been a talking point to get him on board.
Well, yeah, that's all you gotta say to him, dude.
Yeah.
So you give that guy the right kind of sucker, he'll probably do whatever the fuck you want, bro. As long as you tell him that he's the best guy to ever have that sucker ever.
Hmm.
So no, but yeah, really funny stuff. And hopefully a slower week again. I don't think that's gonna happen because you say the last three opinions coming out, and those, if I do believe, they'll come out next week on Tuesday, and that'll
Yep.
be the end.
Yep.
So our Thursday next week, because then it's the fourth. On Friday, it's blow shit up day. Love that. Blow shit up day. I am allowed to be an American and stuff, even though I'm a liberal. You can go fuck yourself. So, but we will definitely, hopefully, have our terrific trio back next week. If he returns from, I'm too old to do this, but I tried it anyway. So you should
That's
probably
usually
not do
me.
that. Yeah, that's definitely you. So I'm the one that's sort of like, no, I'm good. So been there, done that, bought the t-shirt. But definitely like, subscribe, share, tell a friend. A little more fun today. A little more fun today. Not so
Mhm.
serious. Why? Because it was all a fucking sideshow anyway.
It was.
This is Bluebird on your shoulder. Till next week, y'all.
Thanks a lot.